Hello guys, hope you're having a fabulous day and welcome back to another Citrix Lab Setup series. And in this video we are going to configure the storefront. So let's get started. So this is my CTX core server where we have installed all the core components, and I have launched the Citrix Storefront console. And as of now there is no stores on the server, and we are going to configure from the beginning. So when you click on Citrix Storefront, you will be given two options: view or change the stores in case store is already created. But in our case we are going to create a new store. So in the introduction window you will see the three different ways how end user can communicate with the store. So click on next, and the store name is going to be my channel name, which is Trix, and I'm gonna set this receiver for website as IIS default. So when this option is checked, receiver for website created with the store will be set as the default IIS website. So this will be override any previous default settings configured for the IIS site. So let me click on next, and delivery controllers, click on add, and click on add. Our delivery controller name is CTX core.ram.local. Click on OK, and we can uncheck the servers are load balanced because there is no servers, it's just only one, and the transport type is going to be HTTP for our lab setup, and click on OK. And this advanced settings, just for your knowledge purpose, I'm just showing. There is nothing that we are going to change here. I'm gonna leave them as it is. So I'm gonna cancel and click on OK. That's all. Click on next. And remote access, no, our lab setup is only going to be for internal, and we are not going to configure any remote access because that requires a license and we don't have it. So click on next, and there could be multiple authentication methods, but we will get to this part lately. I'm sorry, after a few minutes. So for now I'm just gonna keep username and password as a default, and click on next. And yes, I'm gonna enable both the options that will enable Zenab services URL, and this will be set as default store for PN agent as well. So let's click on create. Okay guys, the store has been created successfully. So let me click on finish now. Okay, let me click on view or change stores, and here we go. And you can see the store URL, Zenab services URL, and all the different options and what all the values that been given, basically the summary of the store. And if you click on delivery controllers, you will see the controller name which is added for the storefront. And in the receiver for websites, you will see the web link for that, and if classic experience is enabled or not, and what is the authentication method which is being used, and whether or not HTML5 receiver is used or not. So these are all the three tabs that you can see any needed information or the summary of the store you wanted to see. So now let's test the site. And if you take this URL, store URL, if you copy this and go to Chrome, and if you try to access this, you will get an error. And whenever you are getting this kind of error, the only thing you have to make sure is you have to add web and then click enter. So you will see this the exact link from the receiver for websites tab. So this is the exact link, and as you can see this will be ending with web. So in case you miss to add web, you will not be able to access the site. So make sure you are accessing the correct one. And for your information, I have already installed a Citrix Workspace on the server, so I'm gonna click detect receiver, and yes, open Citrix Workspace launcher, click on OK. Sorry, it's not click on OK, you just need to open it. And now you can see it is predefined, like you have to enter domain/username. And let's try without the domain name, alpha, and you will get the error saying enter a domain. And there is an option where we can get rid of this username, which has to be included with the domain name. So for now, I'm just gonna keep the domain name and try to log in. And success. And if I go to desktop, Citrix Lab is there, and if I go to apps, Notepad also there. So when we publish the Notepad and desktops, so both are visible for me now. And if you need, you can add them in the favorite by clicking on add to favorite, and you can add the apps as well. Click on details, add to favorite, so that whenever you are having too many applications but you will be using only a few of them, you can favorite them, and then when you come to favorites tab, you will see these two or all the other applications that you have kept as the favorites. So let me just try to access Notepad. And since this is the first time we are trying to launch, you are getting this ICA file. And in the Chrome, you can select always open files of this type, so that from the next time the ICA file will be downloaded and will be automatically launched instead of you just click on open. So it will just save you some couple of clicks. So I'm just gonna click open. Okay, it started. Preparing to connect. Connection in progress. Established. Negotiating capabilities. Okay, finally the Notepad has been launched, and if we go to Citrix Workspace and Connection Center, you will see the active connection on BDA server, and also from the preference you can select the file access, whether it's gonna ask me each time. No access, read only, read write, so I will always keep read and write. And these are all for microphones and cameras, so I'm just gonna keep them default. Apply. Okay, so we are successfully launched Notepad, so now I can close it. And now let's try to launch CTX Lab as well. Let's give it some time. Okay, perfect. So we are able to launch both the application and desktop, so we should be okay now. And also from this options, cancel, so you can click on home to go back to the home or the desktop, and control alt delete. Preferences, where you can select the the display options and some other connection and monitor layouts. So you will be having different options for display layouts. I'm just gonna click cancel. So as of now we are good. So I'm just gonna, also in the shortcuts you will have switch application shortcuts, I guess. Yeah, so anyway, that's okay. So I'm gonna log off from this CTX lab setup, CTX lab desktop. So guys, also if you're one of the people who's using Citrix desktops from your organization, always try to click on start and sign out instead of just closing the desktop from the top right corner X. Okay, so now everything is good. Let's go back to our storefront. So let's go through each one of the options. So let's start with manage delivery controllers and click on edit, and here the same option that we had before when we are configuring it, so nothing more. Let me click on cancel, and the configure unified experience. So I can see by default this Citrix store has been set for the unified receiver experience. So this is mainly for it offers a consistent experience to end users across multiple devices and easier application and desktop selections. So I'm not gonna disable anything here. I'm just gonna click on cancel. And yes, now let's get to our manage authentication methods. So we have multiple methods such as username and password, SAML authentication, domain pass-through, and this is for receiver for websites, smart card, HTTP basic, and pass-through from Netscaler gateway. But we are going to stick with only username and password for this lab setup. But still we will go through some of the useful options here. So let me go back to storefront and I will log off from here. And before I log off, just see we have only activate, install Citrix receiver, report, and log off, only these options. And next time we will see some more useful option, but I will show you guys in a minute. So I'm gonna log off and log on, detect receiver, open. Yeah, so right now it's domain/user or domain/username. So if I go to this settings, and the first option is configure trusted domains, let me click on that. And as of now by default it is selected with any domain. I'm gonna select trusted domains only, and I'm going to add our domain name, brand.local. Click OK. So default domain is selected as brand.local. And in case you have many domains in your environment, you can add them. And also when you select show domains list in logon page, the users will be given option as a drop down where they can select their preferred domain name. So for now I'm not going to select this because I have only one domain. So click on OK and OK. Okay, let me go back to storefront login page, and username is showing as domain/user, and I'm gonna refresh this. Detect. Yeah. And now as you can see, that domain/username prompt has been gone. So I'm gonna try without the domain name. And there we go, it worked. And I'm gonna log off again. So let me go back and let me click on manage authentication method once again, and the settings, and this time we will go to manage password options. Oops. Yeah. And by default allow users to change passwords is disabled, and I'm gonna enable it. And only when they expire, no, I'm gonna select at any time so I can show you guys how this works. And I'm just gonna keep use reminder settings from AD group policy, which is not configured, but still I'm just gonna keep the same, and click on OK, and again click on OK. And let me go back to storefront and log on. Detect. I'm going to log in again. So now if I click on alpha, you will see change password option has newly appeared here. So let's see how this works. Let me click on that. Okay. And guys, this is only for the users who wants to reset the password at the same time they remember the old password. So if you forgot your password, then you will not be able to change it from here. So old password, click on OK. Oops, okay. Okay, complexity and these things were not met because I was just keep using welcome at 123 1234 12345 something like that. So click OK. Okay guys, I'm not going to waste more time on this. So now you must got the idea that how this works. So I'm just gonna click on cancel, and I'm gonna stick with my welcome at 123 password itself. Okay, and once again, and there is one more option, that is configure password validation. So here Active Directory is selected. If I click on drop down, delivery controller is also there, but let's keep it as Active Directory. It's a straightforward. So I'm just gonna click OK and OK. So let's go to manage receiver for websites and configure. So by default classic experience is disabled because the new experience is coupled with many advanced features such as site customization and featured app group management. But anyway, our lab setup motive is to check out all the different options. So I'm gonna enable the classic experience and see how our storefront login page looks like now. I'm gonna log off, log on, And there we go, you got the classic experience. This is the old one that you happen to get this green color bubbles. So detect receiver, open. Let me okay, here you see the desktop, and if you click on apps, you will see the apps here. And also if you click on the plus mark, you will see the apps and Citrix Lab, those things here. But for now I'm just gonna log off and then go back. So now you know what does this classic experience mean. So let's just disable it and let's go to customize appearance. Yeah, and here you can keep your logo or header branding that you will see when you are logging into Storefront. And you can also change the background colors here and text color, so those things. So let me show you how this works too. And for your information guys, I used canva.com where you can create your customized logos in the customized size. So just like here they have as 350 into 120, and for the header it's 340 into 80. So I have already created them. Let me click on browse and logo branding, open, and header branding, click on browse and header branding. Okay, so let me click on apply. Okay, so let's go back to our site. So we have already disabled the classic experience. So if I refresh this page, detect, open. Great, now you can see our logo came up, Citrix. So let me log on. And here as you can see, Citrix also came here. So this is a header branding. So this is how you can customize your Citrix logon page, and before logon, after logon. So those things you can customize with your preferred logo. So let me configure it again and customize appearance. So you have got the idea now. Let me go to feature app groups. So here we can, so for example, if we have a finance department, HR department, IT department, and all these people uses different tools, and with this featured app groups we can create a different folders such as HR, finance, and IT admins, and they just have to open their categorized folder to access their applications. So for example, I'm just gonna create IT admins. So I'm just gonna keep same. So IT admins. So I'm gonna give the keyboard as IT admins. And let's see what other options we have. So we have keywords, application category, application names. So keyword, when we have keywords, I think this can be configured in the Studio console or the Zen App Delivery Services console. So the same keyword can be applied in the application properties, so that whenever you're giving the keywords to any application, they will be categorized under the keyword that you're given for them. So for now I have given IT admins. Click OK and let me edit. Okay, background style. So we have different backgrounds, as you can see. So I'm just gonna keep with the default one. Cancel, apply. Okay, and I will just open the Studio as well. So let me go to applications. properties, and in the keywords I'm going to give IT admins. Apply. Oh, sorry. So you have to give keywords colon IT admins. Apply. Okay. Okay, let me go back to Storefront. Log off. Log on. Detect. Yep. And if I go to apps, now you will see IT admins here. Maybe if I create more categories, those will be shown here, but as of now IT admins only have Notepad. So now you should have some idea how this will work. Let me go back to our storefront. Let me configure it again. So we have covered till featured app groups. Let's go to authentication methods. So I'm just going to keep username and password, and I will talk about this domain pass-through in a minute. Let's go to website shortcuts and let's see what it is. Add the URLs for websites which will host resource shortcuts. This will help you create a shortcuts to published resources on your corporate websites. Your users will be able to launch these resources from your corporate websites, but we don't have them, so I'm just gonna skip this. And how we can deploy the Citrix receiver for the user. So one is we have three different options. One is always use receiver for HTML5. So this can be used when user does not have any Citrix receiver or Workspace installed on their local computer. So let's go with it first. So I'm gonna select always use Citrix receiver for HTML5. And here you have another option called launch applications in the same tab as receiver for web. So I'm not going to use it. So apply. And okay. So let's go back. Let me log off. Log on. Okay, let me log into Storefront again. Guys, since we have selected always open applications through HTML5, it doesn't matter whether there is Workspace installed or not, the applications will be always launched via browsers. So let me log on, and as you can see, the application or desktop got launched automatically in the browser itself. But this can be changed. Instead of launching automatically, it can be launched only when we try to launch it. So Citrix receiver has connected your desktop. To see your desktop, allow pop-ups from this website in your browser. Always allow. Okay, and let me click on Notepad, and the Notepad also will be opened in the different tab in the browser itself instead of launching outside. So this did not work, but I'm not going to spend much time on troubleshooting things, because this lab setup's goal is only to see how different option works. So for the HTML5, this is how it will be. So instead of launching the application in the separate window, it will be launched as a new tab inside the browser itself. So let me close this, and let's go back to Storefront, configure, and deploy Citrix receiver. So let's change the option now. So as you can see, always use receiver for HTML. So this option will work whether Citrix receiver or Workspace is installed or not. The second option is use receiver for HTML5 if local receiver is unavailable. So only if there is any if the receiver is already installed, then it will be launched through the receiver. Otherwise it will use HTML5. So I'm not going to use the second one because we know the result already, and install locally. So I'm just going to keep the same as previous. And we also have another option called allow users to download HTX engine plugin. Click on allow. So you will be given for two different sources, Windows and Mac. And in the Windows you have Citrix website and local files on the Storefront server and file on a remote server through URL. So if user doesn't have a HTX plugin, they can download it from the login page itself. So let me keep Citrix website and apply. Okay. So let's try this option. But my this CTX core server doesn't have internet, but still I'm going to cancel. And if I click on I agree, and if I click on download, it will take me to the Citrix page to download the Citrix receiver web.exe file. So let's go back to Storefront and change the option. And instead of Citrix website, I will select local files on Storefront server. So let me click on browse, and let me go to desktop. Let me copy this, paste, and open. So now I have selected local files on the Storefront server and given the path with the executable file name, and apply. Okay. Let me refresh the screen, detect receiver, cancel it, and if I click on I agree and then I click on download, users will be able to download it from my Storefront server itself. As you can see, it is being downloaded here. So this is another option how users can download the Citrix receiver. So let me go back to Storefront, configure, and deploy Citrix receiver. And the third option is files on a remote server through URL, and I'm not gonna use that option because I don't have anything for that. But let's see, path, or if you have a file share, you can mention it here. But you got the idea how it's gonna work. So I'm not going to try with that option. So I will go to the so for now I'll just keep local files, the session settings. So here you will see server communication items and communication timeout duration, session timeout duration, and sign-in timeout. And this is the number of attempts that receiver for web makes to contact the Storefront server. And this communication timeout duration, this is the time after which the receiver for web determines that the Storefront server is unavailable. So I'm gonna keep it default. So let's see. So I'm gonna, for testing purpose, I'm just gonna keep 1 minute here. and click on apply. So session timeout is like you logged in to Storefront, and if you're not doing anything within 1 minute, the session will be timed out. So I'm just gonna apply. Okay, so let me go back and let's refresh. Detect, open, let me log in. So for now I'm not going to touch anything, and within 1 minute this page will be automatically timed out, and even before that you will be getting a heads up that within so and so seconds, there you go, Citrix receiver will time out in so and so seconds due to inactivity. And you will get your session has timed out due to inactivity. So this settings is for after you logged in. So let's go back. So I will change to 20 as before. And if you the sign in timeout, this is the timeout duration of the receiver for web logon page. The login page is times out after the specified duration if there is no activity on the page. So let's try this as well. Apply. Okay. So this time I click on log on, detect receiver, open. So I'm just gonna keep it idle. That's all. Within a minute it will be timed out as well. So let's configure session timeout settings. Okay, let's go to Workspace control, and here you will see the log of action. So in the log of action you have disconnect, terminate and none. So these are all for the user's client session. So when users log off the site, app and desktop sessions are automatically disconnected from the client device but remain running on the server. And let's keep the disconnect itself, and enable Workspace control. By default it is enabled, and automatically reconnect to the sessions when users log on. So this happens when users suddenly go out of network, maybe due to power cut or something like that. And reconnect and disconnect buttons, so let me just enable them as well. So let's go to client interface settings. So here the auto launch desktop is enabled, so that's why we got the application, the desktop launched automatically. So I'm gonna unselect this, show desktop viewer, and this is the toolbar display to the end users, which provides easy access to display HTTP preferences. Yep, I'm gonna keep them. And multi-click duration, and this is the amount of time between the attempts to try to launch a desktop or application by the end user. Okay, I'm just gonna keep them. So applications and desktop view on receiver for web. Yes, I'm going to keep both the views so that I can access the notepad as well as the CTX lab desktop. So default view is set to auto, and you have options to select as applications or desktops either. So I'm just gonna keep them. And in the advanced settings we have enable fiddler tracing, enable folder view, loopback communications, protocol handler, strict transport security, ICFL cache expiry, icon resolution, loopback port, trusted shortcuts, prompt to install receiver after logon, protocol handler skip double hop check. So I'm just going to keep all of the advanced setting as it is. So I'm going to click on OK and close. Okay, now we have done with the manage receiver for websites. All the different options that comes with the manage receiver for websites. So let's click on configure remote access settings, but we are not going to use Netscaler gateway appliance for remote access. So I'm just gonna cancel. And XenApp services support, and XenApp services support is already enabled, and for the PN agent, and default store is Citrix. Yep, cancel. And configure store settings. So the user subscription self-service store is enabled. So let's see, when you enable user subscriptions, the self-service store is then in effect. User must subscribe to applications before they can use them. Any previously specified applications are still available. And if we disable this, the mandatory store is then effect. All the applications published to the users are available on the home screen without users subscribing to them. So I'm just going to keep enable user subscriptions, and let's go to Kerberos delegation. So when it comes to Kerberos delegation, this is by default disabled, and if we enable it, the Kerberos delegation will be used to authenticate to delivery controllers. So instead of storefront communicating with the domain controller, the communication will go through delivery controller and then through the AD. So I'm gonna keep the Kerberos delegation disabled, and optimal HTX routing. So this can be routed through gateways based on delivery controller or XenApps and desktop zones, and typically resources should be mapped to the gateway that resides in the same geographical location or data center. I'm just gonna keep as it is, as we are not using any gateways. Okay, let's go to advertise store. So advertise store is enabled. So when this option is selected, the store will be presented as an option for users to add when they configure Citrix receiver through email based account discovery. And I'm just gonna keep this selected. I'm not gonna change anything here, but anyway, what will hide store will do. So when this option is selected, the store will not be presented to users to add to their accounts when they configure Citrix receiver through email based account discovery. So hiding a store does not make it inaccessible. Instead, users must configure Citrix receiver with the connection details for the store, either manually or using a setup URL or with a provisioning file. Okay. So I'm just going to keep advertise store enabled. And in the advanced settings, I will just show you guys what all the things that we have, but I'm not going to change anything here. So address resolution type, DNS port, allow font smoothing is enabled, session reconnect, special folder redirection, background health check polling, timeouts, maximum enumerations. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep everything as it is. Apply. Yeah. Okay guys, and these are the options only for the store based options. And when it comes to the first half of the action panel, we have for the entire stores, like if you have multiple stores here, then we can use these options. So this will be common for all the stores if there is any multiple stores. So manage Netscaler gateway, manage beacons. So manage beacons, it's mainly to differentiate whether user is connecting through external or internal. And we don't need to configure external beacons because our lab setup is only for internal. So I'm going to click on cancel. Set default website. Yeah, it's already there. And if I go to server groups, if we have another storefront server, then we can add that server here, but we don't have one, so I will just show you guys how it can be done. So you will take this authorization server and authorization code from here, and you will be entering this authorization code in the secondary storefront server. So only then it will be added as a secondary one. So I'm gonna cancel this. Okay guys, so far I have covered all the basic things that you wanted to know when it comes to the storefront, different features, the different options. So those things we have covered. So as a recap guys, in the previous video we have created the machine catalog and delivery groups, and we also created one application notepad and one desktop Citrix-lab. And in the next video, we will talk about part 10, which is publishing various types of applications using Studio. So stay tuned, and that's all for today guys. If you have liked the video, please hit thumbs and do subscribe for my channel for more Citrix related as well as PowerShell related videos. And have a great day. Bye bye.